Today we have the New Orleans Saints that are on a 7-game win streak facing the 4-6 Denver Broncos that seem to be better than their record. Let's go ahead and get into it. What's up, everybody? On this nice Saturday afternoon, we got the Saints vs. Broncos preview and predictions. This is going to be a fun one, but before we get into the video, I'd appreciate it if you guys went ahead and subscribed to the channel. If you are new, like I said, I'd greatly appreciate it. We're on our way to 9,000 subscribers, and I could not be happier. Thank you, boys, but without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into this game as quickly as possible because, good Lord, we're about to have a good ones on our hands. Let's go ahead and get into it. So first, I'd like to go ahead and give some hospitality to our opponent, and let's just go over the Denver Broncos before we go over the New Orleans Saints because this is unfamiliar territory. We haven't beaten the Denver Broncos since I believe it's 1994. It's been a while, so we're going to have to go over what we know about them, and then we're going to go over what we know about the New Orleans Saints, so let's go ahead and do that. The Denver Broncos are an enigma. They are a shell of what they should be, what they're capable of. Because of injuries to players like Von Miller and Courtland Sutton, they are 4-6 instead of 8-2. The 4 games that they have won have been greatly attributed to their defense, not Drew Lock, except for that one game against the Chargers where Drew Lock led them to a victory. He really hasn't been all that this year, and it's shown on paper. This team is a giant cloud of what if. What if we won those 3 one-possession games we lost? What if we had Von Miller on defense and Courtland Sutton for Drew Lock to throw to? What if Drew Lock played up to his capabilities on a consistent basis? What I'm saying is, if a few things swung the other way for the Denver Broncos, they would be playoff caliber. So we cannot sleep on them at all. With that being said, let's go look at some of their metrics. So Denver is 28th in points per game put up, which is absolutely terrible, only putting up 20.6 points per game. The main reason for that is they can either explode for 30 or get held to 3, and there's usually no in between. It's ridiculous. They are 21st in points per game allowed due to defensive injuries, allowing 26.7 points per game. They are allowing almost a touchdown more than what they're putting up, which is why they are losing these one-possession games and why they frankly have a negative record. They are 21st in the league with passing yards per game and 14th in the league with rushing yards per game. The duo of Lindsey and Melvin Gordon is extremely important to their offense and in a sense has been carrying it. Drew Lock has been statistically one of the worst starting quarterbacks in the league, so in order for them to win this game, they will have to get Melvin Gordon and of course Philip Lindsey going, but against the second best run defense in the league, only allowing 74 yards on the ground per game, it's going to be pretty difficult. They are 13th in the league with yards per game allowed, allowing 346.3 per game, and are 31st in the league in turnover differential. That is so bad. Like, seriously, so bad. They have a negative 13 turnover differential, which I seriously cannot stress how horrific that is. They have turned the ball over 13 more times than they've forced the other team to turn the ball over. That is horrible. They have all of the metrics of a losing team, and that's why they're a losing team. So since this team is a team of what-ifs, I can't go ahead and gauge them on what they'd be like if those what-ifs came true, because they aren't. Because of that, this team is a tad dysfunctional, and they have a quarterback that hasn't even begun to put it together in his second year in the NFL. Drew Lock has 7 touchdowns to 11 interceptions with only 1,767 passing yards. He's been pretty damn bad. He has thrown 5 interceptions over his last 2 games and has went 3 of his 7 full games this season with 0 touchdowns and at least 1 interception. So the struggling Denver Broncos have all of those terrible metrics, and then these 4 injuries that are pretty key and could make it even worse for them. Questionable starters that they have are Bryce Callahan, a corner, Jerry Jeudy, a wide receiver, which is very detrimental. If Jerry Jeudy doesn't play, they're going to have little to no offensive production. DeMar Dotson at tackle, and Graham Glasgow, the offensive guard. But with that covered, let's go ahead and move on to the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans has a few of its own woes as well, including the loss of Hall of Fame quarterback Drew Brees, but his fill-in, Taysom Hill, had a wildly efficient game against a team that beat Denver previously in the Atlanta Falcons. Taysom Hill went 18 for 23 with 233 passing yards. He led the team in rushing with 51 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns as well, and the New Orleans Saints metrics are completely different than those of the Denver Broncos in almost every way. Offensively, the New Orleans Saints rank 5th in points per game with 29.5 compared to Denver's 28th rank. On the flip side, they rank 9th best in points per game allowed, only allowing 22.2 points per game. In the last 3 games, however, the defense has flipped a switch strikingly since the addition of Quan Alexander, and they've only allowed 8 points per game during that time span. The Saints rank 15th in passing yards per game with 248.1. They are 8th in rushing yards per game with 125.5 as well. Here's the kicker. Not only has the defense not allowed many points, they aren't allowing many yards either. The Saints are ranked 3rd in the league with yards allowed, with only 302 yards allowed per game. They have been outstanding all over the board. Another good thing about this team is that they ranked 7th best in the league in turnover differential with a +5 ranking, which is pretty damn good. They have taken hits just like the Denver Broncos have, though, with 4 starters being ruled out for this game, including Drew Brees, Teron Armstead after a positive COVID test, Andrews Pete with a concussion, and Deontay Harris with a neck injury. With all of that being said, and the New Orleans Saints and Denver Broncos metrics being overviewed, I don't think that these teams are that different. I think that they're actually very similar. They're run-first teams with quarterbacks both named Drew 90% of the time. They have good defenses, good offensive and defensive lines. The main difference here is coaching. Sean Payton is a miles better coach than Vic Fangio when it comes to offensive play calling, and that shows, because Sean Payton can win games with backup quarterbacks, and Vic Fangio is still trying to figure out how to win games with their starter and the dude that is, supposed to take over that franchise. I'm confident here because the Saints have coaching and defensive edges. That's the main thing in this game. The Saints have a better defense and they have a better coaching staff. It all depends on if those two things show up on Sunday. Along with the defensive and coaching edges, the Saints might even have an offensive edge as well, depending on how Taysom plays and how our offensive line plays, missing 2 starters. But with Alvin Kamara in the backfield, it makes it hard to root against them, along with Michael Thomas, Jared Cook, and so many other big pieces. I'm predicting a low-scoring game here in the Frosty Mile High with a 23-17 Saints victory, even though we're going to lose 56-0 to the Broncos anyway, so me predicting anything doesn't really matter. Let's go ahead and look at what some subscribers in the Discord had to say about this game and what their predictions are. We do this every week, so if you'd like to go ahead and join the Discord, you can, fight for a spot here as well. It's the first 5 or 6 people that get in that will be given a spot. So the first person we have is Mac. He says 13-34 New Orleans Saints. Hold them to 6 until they score a garbage time touchdown. That is a very bold statement. The next we have is No with a heart. He says 27-24 Saints. The next is Just Joseph. He says 26-20 Saints. Wyatt BDV is next up. He says 56-0 Broncos. I like where you're going there. Shadow says 26-17 Saints. And Brian Whiteley says 30-10 Saints as well. So let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think about this game. I love reading your guys' comments. They make my day, so go ahead and leave them. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode on the channel, and I'll see you boys in the next one. Adios.
Zero gravity falling, and I might burst sleep or stay jump like I'm jumping on a trampoline.